Hi, everybody. This is Crystal. I hope that everybody is doing okay, especially with all this stuff going on about the coronavirus and all that. Hopefully, you all are practicing social distancing, practicing good hand washing techniques, and all of that. Okay, this little video is about my pet cat, Chirpy. As you all know, that he's this big, pretty, healthy gray cat. He's about 3.5 years old, and he has been in perfect health until relatively recently. He was diagnosed with feline leukemia as a kitten. He didn't have any symptoms, but he was just tested just to be on the safe side, and the test came out positive. So ever since then, he's had that kind of hanging over his head, even though he was perfectly healthy. Um, I put him on some pills, some antiviral pills, and he was doing perfectly okay until late December. And late December, he started developing these weird looking lumps on his body. They didn't seem to bother him any, and I didn't know whether they were lipomas. I hope I pronounced that correctly. But either way, this happened in late December. After they didn't go away, and I realized the lumps weren't bug bites or anything like that, I took him to the vet in January. And so they did something called a fine needle aspiration, whereby they take the needle and draw some cells out of the lumps and test the fluid to see what aspiration done. And it turns out that was inconclusive, really. They said that they did not think it was cancer, that they weren't 100% sure, but it really wasn't indicative of cancer. They said there was a lot of inflammation and eosinophils in those lumps, but there was a lot of inflammation, but it was inconclusive and they really did not think it was cancer, but they didn't know 100% sure until they take the lumps off and send the lumps to pathology. So that's a biopsy, which is different than a fine needle aspiration. So that surgery was recommended to me. So I said I would save up for it. Uh, like in late January, February, he developed cold-like symptoms like sneezing, runny eyes, um, all that kind of stuff. So I took him back to the vet, and he was prescribed antibiotics and eye drops and stuff like that, which I, gave to him religiously. In February, later February, he just lost his appetite, and he was prescribed this ear gel. It is called Meritage, and it's a transdermal ointment. Basically, you're supposed to put like a little bit. You see this purple line, you're supposed to squirt the gel on this purple line and then take it off with your gloved finger and put it in his ear, like this part of the ear. And so that's supposed to stimulate him to eat, and that didn't work. So, yeah, basically he started getting skinnier and skinnier. And with cats, they have to eat, or else they'll develop something called fatty liver disease if they don't. And that will kill them before the underlying problem that caused them to stop eating will kill them. So, I was trying everything with Chirpy, and I did not yet have all the money for the surgery. These vets, I understand they have to make a living too, but I'm still a caring pet owner if I cannot cough up $3,000 just on a whim for the surgery. I was trying to get that money up and get it together. It wasn't like I was just sitting on my behind doing nothing. Anyway, the vet recommended euthanasia for Chirpy in early March, basically because of the lumps on his body, the fact that he wasn't eating, and also an x-ray was done that showed that he had some fluid on the lungs. Uh, I wasn't, being that he was getting over a respiratory problem and he was sneezing, coughing, all that, I wasn't too surprised with the fluid on the lungs. It's just like if you or I were to get a flu and it goes to the lungs and you get pneumonia. It's kind of like that. So I wasn't too surprised with the fluid on the lungs, but the vet really wanted to do euthanasia, especially with the feline leukemia diagnosis he had from years back. They really wanted to do euthanasia. And I looked at Chirpy and I looked at him in the eye and he was still fighting. I couldn't do it. I could not do it. I was in tears in the vet office crying. I just was a wreck. I couldn't do it. I looked at him. He was still alert. He was still trying. So I couldn't do it. Okay. So I decided to take him home and fight for him. Anyway, after I took him home, a few days after that, I noticed that his lumps were gone. And it seems like after he lost all that weight, the lumps left, which is really, really weird. So I don't know. But either way, to get him to eat, I use something called the meatball method, which is a receptionist at the PetSmart vet told me about that. I don't go to PetSmart vet, Banfield. Maybe I should have, but I stopped there on a whim to buy a syringe so that I could get some food into him. And the PetSmart lady said, we have a bunch of syringes, but the the actual hole at the tip is too small to get a lot of food out. So they did something called the meatball method, which is where they take a pate cat food and they roll into like a little meatball. Maybe it's like this small, and they put it real far back in the cat's mouth, like by the throat, and then kind of make the cat close his mouth gently. And he has no choice but to swallow it after that. If you do this with any other type of cat food, he'll probably choke, but with pate, it has to slide down when he closes his mouth. So I was recommended to do that, and I did that. And I've been doing that ever since, and he has been getting food in him. Um, Also, he has begun eating a little bit on his own, but I still help him with the meatball method. Also, I've been continuing the medicine that I had him on earlier, which is the Lamivir, which is the antiretroviral drug that I first put him on when he was diagnosed with feline leukemia as a kitten. I will put the video where I talk about that in the description box or something so you can see that video. I really believe if it were not for the Lamivir that he has been on since he was a kitten, he would have died a long time ago. He would have died when his siblings died because his siblings didn't even make it out of kittenhood. So he would have died when they died if I had not had him on that Lamivir. That's what gave him a fighting chance, even though he has these health problems now. This is what has left. The Lamivir is what has allowed him to live this long. I've also been giving him a dropper full of colloidal silver a couple times a day. This is the colloidal silver. It is by Blue Ridge Silver and it's www.blueridgesilver.com. And just give him a dropper full of this a couple times a day. He doesn't really fight because when I feed him or when I give him medication or something, he's usually pretty laid back. He usually won't fight, but if he's in a feisty mood, I'll just wrap like a towel around his shoulders so that he can't push back with his little front paws. And then at the back by his neck, I will clip the towel. I'm not actually putting it on his skin. I'm just like wrapping the towel around him and then clipping it with this so that he can't fight me off with his little front arms or legs or whatever. So he can't push the stuff away from him. And so he has to take the medicine. So I wrap him up like that because also force feeding can be kind of messy. So I wrap him up like that. I also got him this high calorie gel. It is by Cat MX. It is a high calorie paw gel. And I really haven't even worried about like putting on his paw. I direct so I'll know he gets it. I'd put like a little bit on my index finger, like maybe a large pea size amount a couple times a day. And I just open his mouth out, put it on his tongue, and he just swallows it. So that can help him get a few more nutrients and a few more calories into him. Also, regarding the fluid in the lung. Okay, sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. But now that his flu-like symptoms have gotten better, it's like the fluid in the lungs have gotten better also. But just to be on the safe side, I heard that sometimes with like heart failure patients and all that, they put them on a diuretic pill or whatever. So I got him some diuretics from the store, but they're caffeine free. Dose down according to his weight, and I was giving it to him on a daily basis, and that helped get the fluid out of his lungs, the excess fluid out of him, and he has been breathing a lot better. And I know that a lot of people are not going to agree with my methods, but like I said, I was going to the vet. It wasn't like I was just sitting on behind. I was going to the vet. I was paying hundreds of dollars. They were prescribing stuff that wasn't really working. And then after a certain point, they just kind of gave up on him and wanted to not agree with. And also before that, they were acting like I was an incompetent and bad pet owner because I could not afford the surgery right at that time. You people just have $3,000 just laying around like that. I was trying to get the surgery money up. I agree. I don't know what's going on with this. Yeah, I had been going to the vet. It wasn't like I wasn't going. And I was getting nowhere. So I'm still kind of weak. And he doesn't have that much fat or muscle on his leg muscles, but the rest of him seems to be gaining weight. His breathing is a lot better. Our breathing is a lot better. I was to return him to 100%, so I continued to work with him on that. When I just took him out to get some fresh air with me, he was under my supervision. He wasn't in contact with other cats or anything like that. He to get some fresh air and everything like that, and he seemed to enjoy it. So muscle mass, but we're working on it. His breathing is a lot better. He doesn't have any more problems with the breathing or anything like that. Um, so I'll continue to fight with Chirpy as long as he wants to fight. I will fight with him. So that's how I feel about the whole situation. And regarding the surgery, being that the lumps that I was going to have taken off are gone, I don't even know if he will even need this surgery. This is just the weirdest thing ever. So I don't know if any of you have any cats that this has happened to. Please let me know in the comments. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you need me to try to help your cat, I'll try to give you the advice I can to the best of my ability. So, yeah.